Hello again, and welcome to Shakeyburns Slow Reading with Muffy and Commander James and Marco. Today we're going to look at Emily Dickinson again, A Narrow Fellow in the Grass, which is a funny poem. I even have grass here, as you can see. So prepare your text, please, and let's read it aloud. Let's read it all together and see what happens. Are you ready, guys? Yeah, we are. We are ready? Good. With me? 2, 3. A narrow fellow in the grass occasionally rides. You may have met him, did you not? His notice sudden is. The grass divides as with a comb, a spotted shaft is seen, and then it closes at your feet and opens further on. He likes a boggy acre, floor too cool for corn. Yet when a child and barefoot, I more than once at morn have passed, I thought, a whiplash unbraiding in the sun. When stooping to secure it, it wrinkled and was gone. Several of nature's people I know, and they know me. I feel for them a transport of cordiality, but never met this fellow, attended or alone, without a tighter breathing and 0 at the bone. I would say, what's your impression, first of all? How do you feel about it? Tell me. Childish? Maybe. Creepy? Countryside? Yeah, maybe. Well, if we look at the poem and the way it is written, then yeah, sometimes it rhymes, sometimes it doesn't really rhyme. We use strange constructions here. Why? Maybe because all that is happening is so strange, maybe. So let's begin at the beginning. The title. What about the title? Well, A Narrow Fellow in the Grass. Well, it's just the first line. It's not a real title, is it? No, Commander James. You see, originally the poem was titled The Snake. And then they decided to not to call it The Snake, but just to call it by the first line. Why would you do that? Why would you think, let's call it a snake, and then on second thought, maybe we should not call it snake, maybe we should just call it nothing, just narrow fellow in the grass. That's a good question. What do you think, people? Any ideas? I can't quite hear you. Could you repeat it, please? Oh, thank you. Okay. Good point. What did they say? Well, they said, that one there, hello. Well, they said that a narrow fellow is more original than just a snake. So if you title your poem Snake, then no one would like to read it, because, boring, snake again. But if you title it A Narrow Fellow, it becomes more interesting and more mysterious. Maybe that's why it's a better title for the poem. You think so? Well, I say maybe if you say snake, it's not just it's not a good title. It's not unimaginative title, but if you put a snake up here in the title, then you ruin the mystery. Because that's the whole point of the poem, isn't it? That you can't quite see that narrow fellow. You never see it as a snake. It's elusive. It's tricky. It's mysterious, and if you can't see it properly, it makes it more powerful. Oh, I know, yeah, I understand it. It's like in all horror stories, if you can see the monster, then you're like, oh, that's rubbish. But if you can't see the monster, then your imagination does the job for you. And then it's the super duper monster. Ah, I think I've read about it somewhere. Eh? Yeah, it's Stephen King talking about horror stories. He has an amazing essay or book essay, Dance Macabre or something like that. I highly recommend everyone to have a look at it. It's a very good trip into horror and how it works and how bits don't work. It's about books and films and radio plays, and well, you just have a look at it. But that's what he says, and I agree too. If you can't see something, your imagination makes it much more powerful, much more bigger than if you can see it. So if you never say the word snake in the poem, then you bring that fellow to a new level, because it's not just an ordinary animal or something you can define, something you can clearly see. So how do we call that guy in the poem? Let's have a look. You have a look too. A narrow fellow, and then a spotted shaft, and just something moving in the grass and you can't see it. Then he, then a whiplash and braiding in the sun. Then a nature's people, he's one of nature's people, and fellow. So we never say snake, because if you say snake, you make it trivial. And we want a mystery, we want the sense of wonder and amazement. Ah, okay. Ooh, that was very clever not to call it snake. A narrow fellow in the grass. And immediately, who is it, what is it? And in your mind, you can see exactly what the narrator can see. We can't see it's a snake or a specific kind of snake, but you can see something narrow moving in the grass. No, not that grass, maybe. No, there's no one there. Maybe spiders. Hello! Yeah, just reading a poem. You have a good day too. See you later. Okay. So immediately we have movement. We have that swiftness. A narrow fellow. It's music. There's music in it. If you say narrow fellow, just say it. Narrow fellow, narrow fellow. Sounds crazy, but I like it. Yeah. And we have settings. When you say in the grass, then naturally you imagine being outside. You imagine it's summertime at least. And then there's someone mysterious, narrow fellow, narrow fellow. So a fellow is a kind of human word, isn't it? But the word narrow isn't human. You can't say narrow person. No, I guess you can't say that. But fellow is your comrade. So if you say fellow, you imagine a human being, or at least someone, a sentient being maybe. Yeah. So when you put the two words together, narrow and fellow, your mind just explodes a little bit. It's like, pfft, no, you can't say narrow fellow. What is it? And then, more than that, you put that guy in the grass. So, again, grass is another reality. It's another dimension. Because if you're a big human being, even if you're a child, but well, anyway, if you're a big human being, then your reality, okay, your reality exists mainly on your eye level and just in front of you. It's very strange, but it's absolutely true. You would know all about it if you had to pilot a spaceship. That is crazy how people just can't see anything around. So yeah, anyway, I was saying your reality, unless you do something to train yourself, unless you pay attention, what you see is a very narrow space in front of you. You're not very good at seeing what's happening around you, to the left, to the right, and you're not very good at seeing above and below. Yeah. Well, some people look beneath their feet just to see where they're stepping, but generally, yes. So what you're supposed to be, seeing the whole sphere. You're supposed to be aware of what is happening to your left, to your right, above you, and below your horizon side. So if there's a brick falling on you, you know, you can see it. If there's a pit somewhere down there, you can see it. If there's someone, a ninja coming to you from your left or your right, you can see it. Like now I can see a car driving there and a few people out there in the street. I'm looking straight here, but I can see there's another car going far away. I can see it. I can see the tree there. I can see, yeah, there's someone moving there. So you're supposed to pay attention to all that. Okay? And that poem is a good start, because that poem takes you, the reader, from your usual fixed perspective, and it's like a muscle, isn't it? You told me, I remember, you told me a few days ago that your perception is like a muscle and or a joint, and you do need to. Oh, there's someone else there, and the little flies over more grass here. Yeah, well, anyway, your perception is like a muscle, and if you don't move it, it just gets really, really fixed. Like, if you don't do your morning exercises, do you do your morning exercises? You should do your morning exercises. At least it takes only 5 minutes or 10 minutes or half an hour or an hour. Not a long time, you know. Okay. So if you don't practice it, then it becomes harder and harder for you to see the world around you. I mean, as it is, we see very little. We see really a tiny spot of what is going on around us. If you don't believe me, then you can find that short video on YouTube somewhere called Who Done It, where they ask you to be a detective and to try and guess who was the murderer in the story. See if you can do that. Anyway, that poem takes us from our fixed perspective of a grown-up, well, depends on your height, of course, but quite high. It takes us down to the grass level. And suddenly the world is different. It's the same world, but you look at it from down here, you bend or you shrink, and now you look at grass. You kind of keep looking from above, but now that's where your attention goes. And because if someone says there's a poisonous snake in the grass, then suddenly you're not so much interested in what's in front of you, you're much more interested in what below your feet. And I guess that's important. It's a good lesson. Like, how do you make someone pay attention at all? Well, you tell them that if they don't pay attention, they will die. Usually that works quite well. Doesn't it? Oh, just doesn't it? Whew. So we have a narrow fellow in the grass, and each next word makes it more and more strange. A narrow fellow, that is strange. A narrow fellow in the grass, because we don't say it's a snake, so it's something crazy, another dimension. And then occasionally rides. So now we have the idea of riding, but it's in the grass, and it's a strange narrow fellow who does it. Although, of course, if you read it more literally, then it's great because it just shows you the image, the feeling, and again, same as in the previous poem, you can see it. Because when a snake moves through the grass, it's a smooth movement, it's seamless, it's continuous, like riding, rather than hopping or something, jumping, walking. So occasionally rides. If you know it's a snake, then it makes perfect sense, perfect sense. But when we come into that poem, reality is a little bit distorted for us. We are never quite sure what it is we are seeing. Maybe it's a snake, maybe it's not a snake. Maybe we are going mad, maybe we are not. Ah, okay. Occasionally, not always, but occasionally. A narrow fellow in the grass occasionally rides. And your brain is like, what? What? What is it? What is she on about? Oh. And then she says, you may have met him. Did you not? He's not as sudden as... And you're like, who? Me? I met that strange creature? Are you sure you're talking about me, not someone else? I have no idea what you're speaking about, but you say I've met him. I know it without knowing. Is that what you say? And of course we have this beautiful negation in here. We have did you not? You may have met him is a suggestion. Maybe yes, maybe no. Nothing is definite. And then we introduce this negation, the negative side of reality. Not negative in the sense of bad, but negative as in physics. You know, positive charge, negative charge is not good or bad, just different. So we come into the not reality. Did you not? And the grammar is just crazy. His not as sudden as, rather than his notice is sudden. His notice sudden as. Why would you do this inversion? Why can't you just speak like a normal person? His notice is sudden. His notice sudden is. I think maybe it's about the sound or the rhythm of how you say it, the phrase. He's not as sudden as his and is. So while we don't really have a normal rhyme here, grass rides, well, maybe you can call it a rhyme if you really try. Not and is. Grass rides, not is. So technically doesn't rhyme, but if you read it, you notice the music. So narrow fellow, that's kind of a rhyme. And his and is, obviously that is a rhyme, but it's hidden. And the snake is hidden, that guy is hidden, and the rhyme is hidden. Very clever. Maybe it's just an accident. Maybe she didn't mean it. Maybe it just happened. Oh, really? Then you look through the poem, and if you see more of it, then it's not an accident. Huh? A narrow fellow in the grass occasionally rides. You may have met him, did you not? His note is sudden as... so there's another bit. Not and notice. Not and notice. Maybe you can't notice it at first, but if you look very closely, then the not reality kind of expands a little bit or gets rooted a bit more, because you repeat not in the word notice. So what is a notice? So normally speaking, of course, note with long O, like note, when you make a note, or you notice, pay attention, is notice, sudden as. But here, specifically in this poem, we do the magic, something that would be just a suicide, very stupid in linguistics, but it works perfectly well in poetry. You say that not and notice are related words in this context. Not really, but in this context, that's the magic of poetry. If two words sound alike or look alike, they can be connected in the poem. Okay, doesn't mean they're really connected in the language. Maybe they are, who knows, but they are connected in the poem. Okay, yeah. So his notice then notice would be a noun from not, an abstract noun from not. Notice like turning into not. Killing, you mean? Well, maybe killing, because if you read it, and first of all, snake here, it's not a happy snake apparently, because if it's just a grass snake, I used to have a grass snake, it was funny. Yeah, so if it's just a grass snake, if it's not poisonous, then why would you be so fretful about it? Why would you care? Just a little happy snake. But if it's a dangerous snake, if it can kill you, then it makes you look at the grass very closely. Yeah? Yeah. What do you think? Yeah. And here, as we will see, that snake is more than just a snake. It's much more than just an animal. It's more like a spirit, of an angel of death, maybe. And in that role, of course, if we talk about some kind of a death spirit or a death angel, death, you mean I can't hear well. Not death, death, an angel of death. So if it's an angel of death or a spirit of death or just death, then of course it's related to not. So his notice, sudden, is he can suddenly turn you into nothing. Ah, yeah, that's what you can say about death, because most people don't even know what's hit them. Now you're alive and happy, and next second you do something really stupid, like you cross the street on red light. You think you can make it, but there's a crazy little tram or lorry or something, and bye bye. So death comes suddenly. The snake comes suddenly, death comes suddenly, because no one, well, very few people expect the death. Yeah, everyone likes to believe they're immortal, and that they're gonna die another day, they're gonna die another day, they're gonna die another day, it's not my turn to go. James Bond. Yeah, James Bond. So that's what people believe, that's what you, me, that's what we believe, that we'll die another day. And then when it comes to us, it comes, takes us by surprise. So the notice turning into not is sudden. You know, Muffy, I think you're reading too much into it. Well, we're not saying that is necessarily what the author meant when he or she was writing it, but maybe it's important, maybe it's not that important. Our premise is the most important bit about a poem is the reader, you. And you can use any text, any poem to help in your investigation, as long as you do keep to the text. Yeah? So you can say that, okay, we have here a logical chain. Oh, you talk about logical chains. I don't like talking about logic or chains. I'm a free person. I'm a little happy. I don't want to talk. Okay. We have a logical chain here. We have a snake, a poisonous snake, a snake which can kill you. It's death. Death turns you into nothing. And we have two words, not and notice, coming one after another. Not his notice. They're very close. They're different lines. That brings a bit of distance, but still they're very close. So we, in this case, we can connect the word not and notice, okay? And in that case, we are not reading too much into it. We follow the logic of the poem. Yes? Okay? Okay. So on one hand, death notices you suddenly. You don't expect it, or you can say it's just that a snake comes suddenly. This moment you see it, this moment you can't see it. It's very swift. And death, it can be swift or slow. Oops. You may have met him, did you not? He's not as sudden as. So we have the moment of swift and sudden, unexpected, occasional. In one word, unpredictable. And we don't like unpredictable. Uncontrollable, unpredictable. That's what we really don't like in our little world. Yeah. So that frightens us. Not only it's deadly, potentially it's deadly, but also if it was just deadly, it wouldn't be a big problem. You just keep away from it if you don't want it. But here it's uncontrollable, unpredictable, and it can come to you person, and there's nothing you can do about it, really. And that's why we have you the reader, put into the poem right at the beginning, because we have the narrator a bit later, but right here we have the reader. It's very important to put the reader into the poem, to say it's not an abstraction, it's not about someone else, it's about you and your head, Muffy. Oh, and my head. And my head. That's better. Oh, you should do something about your head. Well, maybe I might. Phew. And we have he. So we make this being male. Is it sexist? Everything's sexist these days. Stupid. So why would the snake be a he and not a she? Because, well, it doesn't have to. In this language, it can be grammatically he. In that language, it can be grammatically she. In English, well, we don't really have he or she. And last time we said that if it was a bird like a robin, then you could just, even if you're not too much into birds and ornithology, you could still see it's a boy bird or a girl bird, because they can be quite different. But if you look at a snake and you say it's a he, then we can't really say, oh, that's because she knows all about snakes and which one is a he and which one is a she. I'm not sure they are that different at all, especially if you can only glance them, see them very briefly. You don't study them, you just see something moving in the grass. Maybe because if you think about the angel of death, usually it's a he. Maybe that's why. Maybe just more powerful in that destructive way or something. I don't know, but I know that if you put a gender into it like a he, then you stop talking about just an animal. Yeah, you talk about a person or a being, same as when you call him a fellow. Well, fellow is a male word, isn't it, anyway? Well, yeah, I guess so. So that was the first stanza. Very interesting, but we had a lot to say, because it's like an introduction, you may think. Right. A narrow fellow in the grass occasionally rides. You may have met him, did you not? He's not a southerner. The grass divides as with a comb, a spotted shaft is seen, and then it closes at your feet and opens further on. Oh, I'm not sure, I can't hear any rhyme at all in here. The grass divides as, well, comb and on maybe. As with a comb, a spotted shaft is seen, and then it closes at your feet. Maybe if you really try, you can say that seen and feet are kind of rhyme, but not really. No, they don't really. It opens further on. Yeah, I guess it's with a comb and further on, probably. But still, that's it's not obvious. If we have a rhyme here, it's not obvious. If we see something, it's not obvious. So now, again, it's very visual. You can really see it, and you are brought there. It's very interesting, very unusual, because you tell them. Yeah, because in most poems, what point of view do we have? Yes. Yeah, it's either I, the narrator, or he, she, the hero, or even it's something abstract, well, impersonal. If it's lyrical, then we just suggest as a narrator. But here, what the poem does, it takes you and puts you in there. Maybe you hate it, maybe you don't want it, maybe you want to run away, but that's what the poem does. It says, you may have met him, did you not? He's noticed suddenly the grass divides, and it's all about you, how you see it, not how the narrator sees it. But you have to stand there, and if you really feel it as you read it, it should give you creeps. The grass divides us with a comb, and again, it's a strange image. You can imagine a great invisible comb coming through grass, and then grass is like hair, which is kind of logical. It does look like hair a bit. And the grass divides, and you can see a spotted shaft. So first bit we just saw something narrow. Maybe it was far away. Yeah, but now you can see it closer. It's getting closer to you, not to the narrator, not to some abstract hero, but to you. It's a very personal thing, you see. So now you see a spotted shaft. Ooh, now what? So it's a spotted snake. Is it an adder? I don't know. I'm not an expert on snakes, but maybe an adder. Yeah, maybe some horrible snake. So anyway, now you can actually see it, and you can see the pattern on its shaft. So it's getting closer, 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 closer to you. It's getting closer to you. Is seen. Oh. And you can't run away because the poem holds you in place. Oh, how horrible, isn't it? So the grass divides. You can see the snake and it's coming for you, and then it closes at your feet. So it comes straight right to your feet. You stand in the grass and it's so close, it's so close. I don't know if you're a town person, a city person, or a country person, but have you ever experienced this? Seeing a snake coming in your direction and knowing that it's probably a poisonous snake? Yeah, it happened to me a lot in my travels. When I went to, where was it? Somewhere near Betelgeuse, was it? Well, anyway, yes. I was out in the mountains, and I was just singing. Yeah, I do sing sometimes. And then a big snake came out from the bushes. And that was the first time I saw a big snake that close. I mean, I have seen small snakes before, and I guess small snakes can be more deadly than big snakes. But that was a kind of a snake you usually see if you're a city person, then usually that's the kind of snake you see in the zoo somewhere. And there it was, just a free snake just passing by. That was amazing. I mean, I have met some small snake, grass snake, and that copper colored little snake that they called, and slow worms. Well, they're not really snakes, but they're funny. Well, I don't count slow worms. So, yeah, I know what it's like, and it does thrill you to know, and at least the first time you say it, I don't know, I only seen it once, But that was really crazy. Yeah. So when you stand there in the grass and that spotted shaft comes closer and closer and it closes at your feet, and that's a moment of uncertainty, the moment when you should be jumping out of your body somewhere, because you don't know, you can't see it, and you can't move, because if that snake is at your feet, there, at your feet, and you want to run away, then if you step on the snake, that would be a very bad idea. But if you just stand still, then maybe the snake will just pass you by like it thinks you're a little tree or something like that. So that's the moment of uncertainty. You can't see the snake and you don't know if it's going to attack you and to kill you, or is it not your time to go? You're gonna die another day, you're gonna die another day. So you don't know. Maybe it's your time. Maybe it's just sitting there at your feet and like, yummy, yummy, that looks good, juicy feet, I like the smell. Maybe that is what's happening, or maybe not. So we have, as we read through it, there should be a pause when your heart stops for a minute, for a second, skips a bit. The grass divides as with a comb, a spotted shaft is seen, and then it closes at your feet and opens further on, and you're like, phew, yeah, indeed, phew, not this time. Phew, I'm lucky today. Today is my lucky day. Death comes close to me today, but it opens further on. It doesn't take me today. It will take me some other day. And again, we focus on our feet. We focused on grass last time, and grass here again. Grass divides. And again it closes at your feet, and suddenly your feet are important. Do you often pay attention to your feet? Maybe not very often. Oh no, maybe not very often. Again, it's about your awareness of how you are aware of yourself, including, of course, including your body. So how do you see yourself in your mind's eye, a head on with a couple of hands, a big brainy head? That's how we see ourselves. Little tiny limbs to get us around. Or if you're romantic, maybe you can add your heart to it. Is that all? Is that how you see yourself? And then you have this danger, and it makes you look in unexpected directions. It makes you look beneath your feet, pay attention to the reality of grass, and it makes you pay attention to your body in a new way. Like, can you feel your ears right now? Do you think about your toes, for instance, your feet? Do you think about your, I don't know, spleen and liver and kidneys? Do you think about your bones? Do you think about your nails? Well, no one can think about all that all the time. You just go crazy, just overloaded with information, but you should be kind of aware of what your limbs are doing, and where they are, and where they are going, what they're doing. So if you do, I don't know, martial arts or dancing or something else, then well, that's a good practice. Yeah, and maybe you shouldn't do it all the time because it is energy consuming, but you should practice it at least from time to time. Maybe then it gets easier and easier, and then you can live a full life and not just like a little head on legs, which can only see a tiny shaft of reality in front of it. Yeah, that's what this poem does. It's amazing. Phew, closes, opens, closing, opening. Again, that's closing, opening, closing, opening. And maybe it's like a game, maybe it's like a little portal. Closing, opening, opening. Maybe it's your heart closing, stops beating, opening. Or your breath, maybe closing. You can't breathe because you're frightened, and then the danger is passing, and your body is opening. Whew. And you can whew, sigh. You can breathe out happily. And closes the fate, the life is momentarily suspended, opens further on, goes on. Okay. He again. He likes a boggy acre, a floor too cool for corn. Yet when a child and barefoot, I more than once at morn have passed, I thought a whiplash and braiding in the sun. When stooping to secure it, it wrinkled and was gone. So again, some crazy grammar. Maybe you can't think clearly in this reality. Maybe it makes you a little bit like a child who hasn't mastered her grammar yet. I don't know. Or maybe she just can't write properly, eh? No. Maybe she's just having magical fun with the language, because you shouldn't be too tedious with it. About language. Language is for you to play with it. I mean, there's no such a thing as English grammar, in the sense that you can put you can construct your phrase this way or that way, and the one way would be more usual, and another would be unusual, but there's nothing ungrammarly about it. Well, if you know what I mean. Oh, I have no idea. But I think if you start talking like Yoda, then people just think you're trying to show off, or that you're crazy or something. Maybe they don't take you that seriously. But maybe it's magical. Maybe you should do it from time to time. Well, that's what poetry is for, isn't it? Well, including. Okay. He likes a boggy acre. So now we have a bigger picture. Again, we had a close look at a small spot. We could see, again, zooming in, we could see grass, our feet, the snake there. And now we get a bigger picture. And it's not a happy garden. No, it is not. It's a bog, and it's a big space, acre. So he likes the bog. We don't like bog. We don't like boggy places. It's not a proper place for human beings to spend their pastime. Yeah, I would think so. Unless you're a crazy hiker. Well, we don't talk about crazy hikers here. We talk about well, maybe we do, but anyway, for most people, a boggy acre is not the happiest place ever. Again, it can be dangerous. You don't have you don't have many people around. Yeah. So again, it's a magical place where the narrow fallow lives. And if you come there, you're likely to meet him, so it can be your choice and your decision. Ah. So again, a floor too cool for corn. That whole line is musical. A floor too cool for corn. Floor too cool for corn. Floor too cool for corn. So that's a little bit of hidden rhyming. So again, we say it's a dead place from our point of view. It's wild. Well, it's quite typical, really. You tell them, yeah. It's quite typical to. Again, each time we create a model of a world in a poem, we create, whatever we describe, doesn't matter, we describe it's a model of the universe as the author sees it, or at least the narrator sees it, and B, it's a model of consciousness, of your mindful reality. And if you read more and more poetry, you'll see it's quite typical. We have this division. We have a safe place, human-made, which we understand, which we can cultivate, which is safe, happy, say a house, a garden, a field here. Yeah, here it would be the field with corn. And usually it's small, very often it's enclosed, there's some kind of a wall or a fence, because we like to keep our understandable reality fenced, to keep it safe from the strangeness which might come from outside. And then we have usually a much bigger space, which is crazy, wild, dark, which we cannot conquer, which hides lots of dangers in it, which we just can't understand, like a forest or a bog or ocean, something like that, I guess. Yeah, something inhospitable, something dreadful. And that's how our perception works. We have our little reality which we can understand. We can tidy up there, make it nice and safe and beautiful. But we have to remember that it's only a tiny, tiny bit. And all around us there's a whole vast ocean of strangeness. Consciousness and subconsciousness. Oh, don't be stupid. I don't know who invented the word subconsciousness, but we wouldn't know about it if it was subconsciousness. Maybe it's meta-consciousness. I don't know. They're clever people. I'm not clever. I'm just a little muffy. Oh, don't worry. I'm a space pilot. I don't understand it either. Crazy things. Crazy. So anyway, here we have the same idea. Maybe it's not so straightforward, but we have it. We have the boggy acre, a place where people should not be, where you can do very little. And we have a floor, well, by negation, a floor of corn, or a happy cultivated field. So if you sit in a happy cultivated field, you're less likely to meet the death angel than if you move to this spirit territory of unknown, unpredictable, uncontrollable. But it might be interesting because well, you don't really die. He doesn't kill you, but he frightens you to no end, because you know that eventually he will kill you. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not in 10 years, or maybe tomorrow, maybe next week. You never know. So each time, even if you know, still maybe you don't believe. You think, well, it's still a long time. Maybe it's just the before thought that eventually that would be your death. Of course, it would give you some uncomfortable reaction. But if you're a true warrior, a true traveler, explorer, then you will not be frightened by it. You'd be intrigued. Yeah? Yeah, probably. I know. A floor too cool for corn. Yet when a child and barefoot, I more than once at morn have passed, I thought, a whiplash and braiding in the sun, when stooping to secure it, it wrinkled and was gone. Oh dear. So mid-phrase, mid-stanza, we change the direction. We say, but maybe you don't have to go to this strange boggy land, because death, and we assume that snake is death by all hints here. Death awaits you everywhere, not just away in the strange land. So we have a child. So, okay, there's a big question. When a child, I used to meet that guy, but apparently not anymore, because she doesn't say it still happens. She says, when I was a child. So why? Any ideas, folk? People? Any ideas? Okay. Well, maybe if you're a child, not in the sense that you're a child, but in the sense that your perception isn't fixed yet, so you can see more. When you are as a child, your mind is more open to reality and to the strangeness of reality. So as a child, she could notice this narrow fellow. Maybe we still meet. She still meets. He's still around, but it's just she can't notice anymore. Maybe. Oh, I know. Another thing. Maybe it's a literally trick. So we have something horrible and dangerous and cold. Yeah, that's another hint that it's about death. Cold. We have the word cold. Cold and horrible and deadly. Then it would work really awesomely if right next to it we put someone innocent, helpless, cute, like a child. So, cause if you just say, oh, a big, strong guy and a snake, then it's like, oh, okay, he had it coming for him. But if it's just an innocent child who doesn't know what he or she is doing, and then this dark danger coming closer and closer to the trusting child, then it creates a great impression. Oh, you're so cynical. No, but it's true, it's true. Oh yeah, it is true. It is true. So when you're as a child and your perception is more open, on one hand you see more, on another hand you have no idea what you're doing. Well, if you move to a new dimension, you wouldn't have any idea of what you're doing anyway. You'll be making lots of mistakes, but that's what learning is about. Well, you can quote the Bible again, be what was it? As simple as doves, but as wise as serpents. Ah, so be as children, but be as serpents too. So be innocent, but be wise. Ah, so in that poem they meet this innocence and this kind of wisdom, maybe, maybe. And barefoot. So again, a child is helpless and cute and innocent, and barefoot. It's like, is it a good idea to walk barefoot where you have poisonous snakes? Eh? Ooh. I don't know. I wouldn't do that. I don't know. I haven't really lived in a region with lots of poisonous snakes, so I don't really know. But from what I heard, high rubber boots are a much better idea than being barefoot. Yeah. So if you read it again, if you read it, you connect with it, you feel it, and you're like, oh, there's a child barefoot and there's a poisonous snake coming closer, closer. Ah! No, don't do it! Run away! Run away! I more than once at morn have passed, I thought, a whiplash. So, but she says, not a big deal, it happens all the time, I'm not dead yet, you see, again, don't fret so much. Maybe if you just relax a little bit and let things happen, they won't kill you. Because, well, again, if you don't step on the snake, it doesn't bite you, why would it? More than once at morn. Why morn? Because it rhymes with corn. You shouldn't be so cynical about things. I'm sure there's a much better explanation for it. What do you think, people? Is it just rhyming with corn? Ah, yeah, morning is like that fresh time before the day, and again, it's a child in the morning and everyone is asleep, maybe. Maybe not. Maybe they wake up early because they're good working people. But anyway, she's up in the morning, she's out, she's not lazy, she's curious, she's exploring. The child is exploring. But she's a bit stupid, isn't she? Yeah, why? Well, look, she says, more than once I have passed, I thought, a whiplash. So she's like stupid. Each time, like every morning, imagine, according to the story, every morning she goes out for a walk. Very often she can see a snake, and each time she thinks it's just a whiplash. Never learns, never learns. Same story again. Yeah, looks like it. Not a very bright child, is she? So a whiplash on braiding in the sun. So again, you can say a snake does look like a whiplash, but at the same time a whip is something connected with pain, danger maybe. And braiding in the sun, and again you can see it, you can see the snake, which looks like a whiplash, and how it's slowly it likes the sun, and it's on braiding in the sun. Very beautiful, really. And again, she's very stupid, because each time, she says more than once it happened to me, each time she's so stupid, each time she thinks it's just an object, each time she bends to collect it, again a very stupid idea, why do it? And each time it wrinkled and was gone. Each time she realized, oh no, that's a snake again. Oh, that's another snake. Oh, and that is a snake too. Oh dear. Too many snakes here. But, well, you may think she's stupid to do it all the time, but isn't that what we do? Each time we meet our death, possible death, each time we think, it's nothing, it's just an object, and we are so stupid and so curious that each time we lean to touch it, we don't understand. We don't understand at all that it can kill us for real. We think we live in a computer game, some simulated reality, that nothing can hurt us, and if it does, we'll be back to some kind of a saving point. We are a very crazy species, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't know, maybe it's some food that can hurt you, and you know it's bad for you, maybe alcohol, maybe something worse, but each time the person is like, oh well, it's nothing, I'll just take it, it won't kill me straight away. And that's what we do. You know this is bad for you, for your health, for your mental health, for your spiritual health, for your physical health, but you can't see the immediate result. So you're like, okay, that's all right. It won't hurt me if I do it just once or twice. We don't feel it, and we are that stupid. We don't see that it kills us. It can kill us. We're like stupid children in that sense because we think we're immortal. Yeah, that's a big problem. All those stories about young people dying just because they wanted to take a selfie. What a sad stories. Sad death. Yeah, but that happens, sadly. And happens to all of us. You may think, I'm so clever, I'm so spiritual, I'm so much aware of reality, and then something happens to your perception when it's your time to go. Something happens to your perception and you make a very stupid decision, very stupid choice, which at the moment would appear to be very nice and good and logical because the tool is corrupted. But if you don't pay attention to these things, it's much more likely to happen, and who knows? Well, no one knows. But still, if you think that a barefoot child walking in the field full of snakes, and each time you see a snake, you think it's just a funny little toy, and each time you actually come to it to touch it, if you think that is stupid, then have a look at yourself. I do it all the time. I know it's not good, but I know it happens. I guess, well, you do it all the time probably too. Everyone does it all the time. So that's us, little stupid children in a field full of snakes, and the snake doesn't want to kill you. The snake, well, maybe it's not your friend exactly, but it's not your enemy, it's neutral. But eventually, it twinkled and was gone. So the snake doesn't want to touch you, but you're just asking for it. Really, well, really, you're asking for it. Several of nature's people I know, and they know me. I feel for them a transport of cordiality. So again, what kind of a person is a narrator? Nature's people, and apparently, obviously, she means animals, birds, insects, stones, I don't know, and they are all people to her, Emily, narrator. Yeah. So, I guess she's not a very sociable person if, well, she prefers talking to birds and snakes and little stones rather than human people. Or maybe she's a happy person because her reality is very big, and she doesn't say, oh, I'm a human being, so I'm better than you, or you, a little hare. Oh, thanks, little, who are you? I'm a leopard, a snow leopard, do you know? Do snow leopards eat hares? Oh, not you. Oh, you know, we are not animals. We are more like demons, something spirits. Oh, yeah, that's true. Phew, just don't eat me, okay? Oh, never. I don't eat friends. Oh, good to hear it. Oh, anyway. So she says, I'm a person. Human people are people, but nature's people are also people. And she doesn't make, at least she doesn't make any difference between humans and snails. So trees, I know them, they know me. So again, it's a big happy community, and it's not a one way communication. They know her too, and they're kind of friends. She feels a transport of cordiality, meaning meaning she likes them. Yeah, and that's about heart, cordiality. So before that we just had feet, and we couldn't see the person. Isn't it funny? We talk about this and that, but we don't see the person, we only see the person's feet. Do you know many poems which focus almost entirely on someone's feet? Huh. But now the person grows in the image, the flesh, the mind. Now she has a heart. She can feel, not just stand and be afraid, but she has heart for all the living beings. And she says, okay, I'm a very open-minded person. Okay, as we can see from the poem, I'm like a child. I talk to animals. I can change my point of view. I can look at the world from like grass level. I can pay attention to this and that. And generally I'm on very good terms with the universe. I'm friends with all the universe, all the spirits, all the beings that inhabit it, with all people. But never met this fellow, attended or alone, without a tight breathing and zero at the bone. So you may be a very cool shaman. You can say shaman, yeah, you can say that. Why not? And you can be friends with all the universe and all the spirits, but still, this guy, and you can't name him. Is he like in Harry Potter, that horrible guy? Wars. So his name is a taboo. You can never say it. Why? Well, don't you know? Well, I know from the technical way, like if you say snake, then he can hear you and come for you. Yeah. Or out of respect, or just to show that he is really cool and important, so you can't name him. So never met this fellow, attended or alone. Who attended? She attended or alone, or him attended or alone? Maybe it doesn't matter. Anyway, no matter, whenever you meet the spirit of death, the angel of death, whenever you spot him, you are never ready. You are never ready. You can be a very cool shaman, but anytime you meet the angel of death, your body, your mind, they know what it means. They know what it really means to you. So it's something deep inside, something you cannot train, you cannot practice it. It's much deeper. Well, it all reminds me of the Death Note, what is it, the series? How there was that god of death, well, not really a god, more like a spirit of death, and he gave that guy magic powers just because he was bored. And he said, well, I can give you the magic powers, but in the end, eventually, I will eat your soul. I will be your death. And the whole series, well, this happens, that happens, the whole series, that a guy treats this death spirit very lightly. He thinks he has power over him. And at the moment it's true, because that guy, the death spirit, is bound to help this boy in his earthly life. That was the contract. But in the end, if you watch it to the end, that it's quite cool. If you watch it to the end, then the last story is that the boy is broken, defeated, because he did some horrible things and he betrayed lots of good people, and now he has whatever was coming for him. He runs away, he's alone, and he sees that spirit of death, and now it's comes to the right places, and that spirit isn't funny anymore. He is serious and a bit sad, and he says, I told you that one day I will be your death, one day I will take you, and that day is now. So that's a really great well, anime series. You can have a look at it. It's a detective story. So in how we treat death, our death, it's so true, so heartfelt, and that's what happens here. But she's a bit more clever or reasonable than that boy from the series. So each time she can see a snake, she knows. Never met this fellow without a tired breathing and zero at the bone.